Hey everybody, my name is Jennifer. This is Metatron speaking. The message that I have for you today is kind of a conversation that I was having with Arlo, who is my silver manted um, spirit guide. And I normally don't I normally don't share things like this, but they were pushing me to share it with all of you. I think that there's a lot of um, kind of valuable information within the situation that a larger audience can pull. It doesn't, you know, without knowing the specifics. So this is actually, I was purging trauma at the time. So I had like painful memories that were coming up and they were just really hurting my heart. And so I was like in a space of feeling emotional and crying. And so this is kind of the interaction that I am having with my guides during this time. So my heart hurts. So I was asking Arlo, hey, can you fix this? Because I love my Mantid guides. They're very gentle, they're very compassionate. So those are the guides that I want around when I feel, vulnerable. So I asked him if he could fix it. And I felt something. He pulled something large out of my back. So right between my shoulder blades, I felt him pull something out, and that would have been essentially pulling something out of the back heart chakra, the back side of the heart chakra. And then I saw him weaving silver threads. So if you've seen other videos, I have seen these mantid guides working with these really fine beautiful metallic gold threads, and they take their like little hands, they're not quite hands, I don't know what you call them, but they're appendages here, and they work really quickly, and they will like use them and weave them um into the chakras or outside the energy body in order to well, I don't know. The gold is used for protection, and the gold is also used for a better connection with creator, better energetic connection. So for me, that manifests as me being able to channel him really well. So I see him using silver. So I said, I didn't know you had silver. And so he like energetically smiles because their faces don't move. So I don't see anything, but I feel him smile. Um, and so I asked him, okay, so if gold is protective, what does silver do? And he said, it's healing, especially for emotional pain. It helps with emotional balance. So, side note, silver is healing for emotional pain or emotional balance. So, this doesn't have to be Arlo's silver threads that he's working with. This can be silver jewelry, silver clothing, silver things in your house, whatever the case may be. So, just something to keep in mind that silver has emotional healing capacity. So he's putting like these silver threads in like my back in my heart chakra, and I immediately felt a difference. Like the emotional pain that was like a 10 felt like it went down to a 2. So I was like, "Oh, this is great." And so it made the pain feel like it was somewhere in the background where I could kind of ignore it more versus it being like right here on top of me, demanding that I look at it. And so I asked him, do you work with other metals, Arlo? Since he works with gold and he works with silver. I'm like, what else? Do you work with something else? And so he kind of like wiggled his antenna playfully and he said, copper is an excellent conductor. It assists with boosting self esteem and releasing anger. And so he moves from working on my back heart chakra, he starts working um, on my hands using the copper. And it was interesting because when he was doing this with my physical eyes, I could see like where my hand was. Real quick, I just saw like little twinkle, like one little light twinkle with my physical eyes. So I know a lot of you, I cannot be the only person who sees that every once in a while. So if you're ever doing something and you just see this one little twinkle, it's always your guide. Pay attention to what color it is if you can, because sometimes that tells you maybe who it is. This was ha 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 ha. It was like a silver twinkle, and now I'm making the connection. Silver, Mantid, silver twinkle. Okay. Um, and I asked him, "Are you only putting it in my hands?" And he said, "No, your hands, your soul star chakra, and your earth star chakra." I mean, he had a purpose for doing this. He said, "Your soul star, which is above my head, to amplify the messages that are allowed through the crown chakra, and the Earth Star to amplify your connection to the galactic community, to harness that love for your healing and for your personal power." And I said, "Are you trying to help me forget about my current life problems?" Because, I'd started off crying, and he's like, "I'm doing this for your healing. I'm doing this. I'm doing it here." And I was like, "Are you trying to help distract me?" Basically. So I said, "Are you trying to help me forget about my current life problems?" And Arlo says, "They don't last. Current life problems don't last." He says it with love and with gentleness. He knows the truth of everything, and he's trying to help me understand. Arlo says, "The bad memories won't matter once you're out of this body. They feel very important now, but what you've experienced is mostly a script written for this play called life. It won't sting so bad once you remember agreeing to the experience. The understanding will replace the suffering. What will matter is how much of your soul you brought into this physical world. How much did you rewrite the story?" And when he says that last part, "How much did you rewrite the story?" I started crying in response to him saying that to me. Feels very familiar. And I know he's said this to me a million times before. And so I asked him, I said, "Do you like tell me this in my dreams?" He said, "Yes." And so his energy started shifting. So Arlo is one of Archangel Metatron's incarnations. And so Arlo's energy started shifting and started feeling more like his higher self, which is Archangel Metatron. So he feels more like Metatron than Arlo now. He's Metatron with an Arlo container, just like I am someone else with a Jennifer container. Because you have to figure, we're really just our higher selves. We have this body and this name and this identity that we've attached so much of our experience to that really has nothing to do with us, that when we die, we leave it behind and it means nothing to us. We don't care what our name was. We don't care what we look like. We don't care, what our circumstances were. Oh, we had this much money and we had these kinds of family members and we had this kind of job and these were our hobbies. Like, we don't care about any of that when we die. It's like a game, trying to remember who you really are. It feels like an ego-based question to want to remember who you are, but in a way, it's not. In a way, it's the question we keep asking and answering every lifetime. And each lifetime, we decide what we want to be. We think we will remember being some individual identity, but no, We are only seemingly separate when we are incarnated. To remember who we are is to remember our divinity, and to remember being everything, not just a few things. I'm going to pause in this conversation to talk to you guys about this. Isn't this what we all do? We all keep asking, like we keep wanting to remember who we are. We want to know where we've been and what we've done and what we've already lived. We want to know about our past lifetimes. We want to know what our gifts are and XYZ. We keep thinking from this super limited perspective. We haven't always been that one thing. We don't only have a couple gifts. We are literally everything. We have access to all. And we're just kind of playing a game, being incarnated by saying, okay, in this lifetime, let's just focus on these couple things here. But that's not what we are. We're everything. We're just trying to pretend, literally, we are trying to create a scenario by them blocking out our memories and by us believing we only have this much ability and this much whatever. We're trying to basically forget we're divine in order to forget that we're connected, in order to forget that we are God, in order to feel separate. Because we can't have this experience and we can't go through this struggle unless we feel separate from God, separate from everyone else. So in that separateness, we're looking for, I don't know, kind of these ego-based things, right? I'm gonna pull up the notes and see if I can pull up more of it. We want to remember who we are. In a way, it's an ego-based question. In a way, it's the question we keep asking and answering every lifetime. Who are we? Who are we? Who are we? So it's like every single lifetime, it's like, who do you want to be this lifetime? What do you want to learn this lifetime? The things that we think are so hard coded to us, the things that we think we are, who we are, what we are, that's not all we are. That's just what we tell ourselves so we feel separate. I'm going to go back to this message. Arlo wants to empower me to be more powerful than I think is possible, to be more connected to divine than I think is possible, to be loved more than I think is possible. He's trying to heal me by giving me a choice to focus on the reality of higher dimensions instead of the reality of the third dimension. He has Metatron's soul, so he doesn't lecture me. He doesn't try to prove his point. He just allows me to see the truth, and he allows me to decide what to do with it. So he's funny. He's like, all this stuff's not going to matter down the line. And so me being a human being, I cope with my emotions a lot of times by ignoring them. I'm sure a couple of you might do this as well, so you're familiar with this. So I handle it by ignoring it and focusing on work instead. A typical incarnated human response. So instead of talking about my feelings with my guides, I direct communication to Metatron and I say, I want to see how far you can take this adventure. I want to see how far you can take this adventure. So that's me telling Metatron, and and I have very limited words that I use with him, but he understands my intent and he can see my thoughts and everything. So I don't have to explain. What I'm really saying is, Metatron, I don't want to talk about my feelings. Let's talk about work. Work is my adventure. This life is my adventure. He's taken us really far in a really short period of time. And so I'm basically trying to challenge him, like, let's do something new. Let's expand. Let's keep going. I want to see how far you can take this adventure, Metatron. And Metatron says, it is how far you can take this adventure. And when he says this, Metatron's energy, because remember, it was Arlo originally, it was Arlo, and it kind of merged over into Metatron, and now Metatron is starting to merge into Creator. And so it felt like Creator when he said it. And I said, create impossible opportunities for me, and I will take them. And so that's me saying, like, give me something big, give me something adventurous, give me something that, like, I don't deserve and shouldn't be there. Give me something impossible, and let's go run down that rabbit hole together. And so I tell him this, and I think that I've got Metatron's attention, and we're going to keep talking about this. But what happens is that Metatron appears to me as a man, which he has never done. When I see Metatron, I actually don't really see Metatron, okay? Metatron's very discreet. He's very, I don't even know what the words are. How he appears to me, I normally just see like white robes. I don't see his head. I don't see his feet. I don't see his hands. So he is a presence, but he likes being mysterious. And that's fine. So he appears to me, instead of appearing to me as white robes, he appears to me as a man, like I can see all of him. He's in his 30s. I feel his love and concern. And at first I was like, whoa, why did he show up as a man? Are we gonna like have a really serious conversation right now? Because he's never appeared to me like that before. And then I get close to him and I start crying and I start crying on him. And then I realized, oh, you appeared to me as a man so that I have somebody to cry on. So I actually have someone to hold on to, because normally he's just like these robes and it's like not as personal. And so of course Metatron comes as a human so that I can interact with him. Um, so how he appeared to me is one of the incarnations that I've known him in the past, but I couldn't remember anything about it. I just knew that he felt familiar enough that I knew who this was, but I don't know. I don't know what his name was. I don't know what the lifetime was. I have known nothing. And so I asked him, can you heal me? Which is something I ask him a lot, but not normally when I'm like in the throes of being sad. Um, so I said, can you heal me? And he said, no. What hurts on you is not something I can remove from you, not until you're done processing it. So this is a fact that I know. But man, when you're in the middle of hurting with something, you don't want to hurt. You're like, let's just get past this. Let's just move this trauma on. But he's like, no, you have to feel it to let it go. I know this. And so I ask him in my despair, because I am a human being, will I ever be done with it? Is it even possible? You know, when you have those experiences that it's like a hurt and you keep revisiting that same hurt. And no matter how many times you come back to it, it still hurts the same. And you're like, gosh, is this ever going to go away? So it's one of those. So I asked him and he said, yes, it is possible. There is an end point. So I cried again when he said that. And then after I got done crying, we were just kind of sitting there in the silence. And so I'm still thinking about work. And so I said, are you going to create impossible opportunities for me? And I asked him, but I know him. I know this energy. I know how he works. I know his answer, but I just want to hear him say it. And so I asked him, are you going to create impossible opportunities for me? And he says, yes. this is the end of the message that I have for you guys today. I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.